Hello, everybody. Our parsha talks about the various chagim in the annual festival cycle. And when it comes to Sukkot, we are informed that on Bayom HaShmini, Mikra Kodesh Elochem, Mikravtem Shel Hashem, Atzereti Kol Melechet Avodah Lo Ta'asu, we have notification of a one-day festival that is semi-autonomous from Sukkot itself, what we now call Shmini Atzeret, that in Eretz Yisrael is combined with the Chag of Simchat Torah. There's a very interesting Rashi that everybody's familiar with because it's almost as if Rashi is talking in Midrashic style. Rashi brings down Atzereti, Atzarti etchem etzli. I want to cause you to stay with me. Stop and stay with me. Kamelech shezimein et banav l'suda, like a king who has invited his princely sons to a festive meal. Lachach v'chach yamim. The festivities are supposed to last for a certain amount of days. Kevan shehigia zmanan lipater, as the prescribed time is coming to an end, and it's time for the children to take leave of their father, the king. Amar, the king says, Banai, my sons, bevakasha mikem, I ask of you, I implore you, ikvu od imi yom echad, I'd like that you stay with me for one more day. Kashe alai prishatchem or predatchem. There are two different girsas in Rashi. It is difficult for me to part ways with you. That's how everybody understands this Rashi. This Rashi sounds like a medrash, yet it's difficult to find a source for Rashi. There is a Gemara in Masechet Sukkah that talks about making a small meal that the king asked for on the eighth day on Shmini Atzeret. But the whole concept of Kosher Alai Predatchem doesn't appear there in the Gemara Sukkot Daf Nun Hey and in a similar Medrash Tanchuma. What is interesting is that the Ramban cites what Rashi has to say, and then he notes that Rashi was not original. Actually, the words of Rashi were already found in the Medrash Vayikra Rabbah. If any of you find the words in Medrash Vayikra Rabbah, please let me know, because apparently it no longer exists in our versions of the Medrash, which is not to say that the Ramban had a more expansive version in which it did appear. In any event, what does this mean here? Kosher alai predatchem. So we understand this to mean that God doesn't want us to take leave of him. He's going to miss us, right? Just like we always feel at the end of a family visit when family members live far apart from one another, you'd like that visit to continue. And so if only for a little bit, another day, please stay one more day. That's how everybody understands the words of Rashi. The question, though, gets raised, why is this concept of an extra day relevant only to the 7-day festival of Sukkot? What about Pesach? So there are those who are quick to point out that Shavuos kind of forms as the Atzeret, the Shmini Atzeret, if you will, of Pesach, and in many ways Shavuos is indeed connected to Pesach, albeit there is a 7-week interregnum or 6-week interregnum from the time that Pesach ends until Shavuot comes. Why is this only by Sukkot and not by Pesach? Interestingly, the Chizkuni says something. He says there's the mashal to a king whose children came to see him. And when it was time for them to leave, he says, okay, when will you be back to visit me? And they go, in about 7 weeks, 50 days. Of course, this is a mashal to Pesach, when the Jews want to leave after Pesach. God says to them, when will you be back to come to the Mikdash, to see me, so to speak? And they go in 7 weeks. And he says, okay, that's manageable. And then after Shavuot, as the mashal goes on, when will you be back? Only in about 4 months. 4 months from Shavuot, Chodesh Sivan, until Tishrei, Chagei Tishrei. And then after Chagei Tishrei, the same question follows. When will you be back? So in the version of the Chizkuni, he must be talking about a leap year. He talks about the next visit, which would be Pesach, and from Sukkot to Pesach, at least in a leap year, he calls 7 months. Let's call it 6 months. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, or the king in the mashal, says, wow, that's a long time to go without seeing you. How about you stay 1 extra day? So that's what the Chizkuni does to explain why we have only an Atzeret for Sukkot and not for Pesach, or for that matter, if you will, for Shavuot. But let's analyze what the words of Hashem are. Kasheh alai predatchem. Now, if you really analyze it carefully, predatchem should have said, Kasheh alai predatenu. Your departure from me, our being separated, you and I, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are going to be separated. It shouldn't be predatchem. It should be predatenu. So many understand this to mean that what bothers HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the strife that comes from time to time amongst the Jewish people. Predatchem, your divisiveness amongst yourselves, that truly bothers me. Stay in the spiritual environs with me for another day, and maybe you will find peace amongst yourselves. I think that that's observed by a number of Mefarshim, but I saw something by Rav Menachem Zaks, who says something very, very sad but beautiful. He says it should just say Kasheh predatchem. What's Kasheh alai predatchem? And he says, interpret it differently. It's not difficult for me, alai, the fact that you people have internal strife. That's bad enough. But what really gets to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know what's kasheh? That alai predatchem. The difference of opinion amongst you is to do with me. This person whose approach to Avodat Hashem is different from the other person. He besmirches and belittles an alternative approach to how to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This one has a slightly different hashkafa. He makes light and argues with the one who has a different hashkafa, instead of understanding that perhaps there are a multitude number of ways in which one can serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The source of the strife is alai, is on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And instead of people looking at one another and saying, different strokes for different folks, but we're all within the camp of loyal Avdei Hashem, everyone picks on the very different, small and picky differences that there are. This one wears his hat this way, this one wears it another way, this one's a kippah sruga, this one is a black yarmulke, and so forth and so on. Shtuyot, stop it. Stay with me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and don't worry about the fact that others have slightly different ways of reaching out to me. And unfortunately, in our day and age, we see this machloket all the time. And the solution is, if we would all come together, and that's perhaps why it relates to Sukkot, the taking of the 4 minim that everyone understands to represent 4 different types of Jews who nonetheless can show harmony and unity and come together. That's the message of Sukkot. That's the message. Stay together with me for 1 more day. Together. Don't go your separate ways so quickly. And when you do take your leave of me, Appreciate that there are other ways, other philosophies within the service of Hashem that are no less valid than your own. Halavai, that Am Yisrael should find that internal peace. B'mhei Rabbi Yameinu. Shabbat Shalom.